Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Western Adventure with Jeff-Chandler, billed as Tex Chandler. An episode of Frontier Town going back to October 10th, 1952.
Frontier Town, the saga of the Roaring West. Frontier Town. El Paso, Cheyenne, Powder River, Tombstone. Frontier Town. Here is the adventurous story of the early West, the tamed and the untamed. From the Pecos to Powder River, Dodge City to Poker Flat. These are the towns they fought to live in and lived to fight for. Teeming crucibles of pioneer freedom. Frontier Town!
Howdy. I'm Chad Remington. Never heard of me? Well, a lot of folks have never even heard of the town I come from. Dos Rios. Means two rivers. And if Dos Rios sounds peaceful, well, it's no more peaceful than any other frontier town. Good folks and bad, God-fearing and evil. I know, because not only am I a rancher, but I'm also the town's only lawyer. Take the other day, I was perched on a keg of horseshoe nails, swapping yarns with Cherokee O'Bannon out in front of his livery stable, and ragging him about the time he used to be a medicine man.
Doggone it, Chad. No good lawyer'd say a thing like that. No, sir. That there is slander, libel, and mayhem.
Oh, go on. That genuine Cherokee Indian rattlesnake oil you used to peddle couldn't cure a hop-toad of warts.
My friend, and I'm giving you the best of it, my rattlesnake oil was an absolute and positive cure for 376 diseases of men and beasts. And guaranteed.
Guaranteed, he says. Well, if my father hadn't saved you from that necktie party,
What's wrong, Chad? What are you staring at?
that rider heading this way, you notice how he slumped over in the saddle?
Tan my hide and call me Buckskin. What do you think's wrong with him?
If I'm any good at guessing, he's been shot. Come on. Yeah, 6 inches lower, mister, and that lead would have gone through your heart.
Guess this is my lucky day.
Yes, sirree, Bub. You were playing in real luck. Not only that Chad spotted you, but that I just happened to have a bottle of my genuine Cherokee rattlesnake oil. Here, take another little swallow.
Oh, no, wait a minute, Cherokee. It was all right pouring it down his mouth when he fainted, but no conscious man's going to drink that stuff.
I'll have you know it's very tasty stuff. Besides, I wasn't going to charge him for it, Chad.
I'll say you weren't. Not with me here. Now, what was that you were saying outside about filing for a piece of land?
Yeah, that's why I rode over here to the county seat. You see, I've been prospecting over at Big Strike.
Uh-huh.
Struck a fine, rich claim. But I guess Rocky Carew found out about my strike, too.
Rocky Carew? Now, who in all get out is Rocky Carew?
Not only don't we know who this Mr. Carew is, but we don't even know your name. Maybe we better start from the beginning. This is Cherokee O'Bannon, and my handle's Chad Remington. I'm supposed to be sort of a lawyer.
A lawyer? Garson, maybe I am lucky. My name is Ford, Todd Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can help me straighten this out and get my claim filed, I'll pay you any fee you want.
I'd be more than glad to help you, Todd, but I'm not that hard up for fees. Who's this fellow Carew you mentioned?
A black-hearted buzzard who moved into Big Strike about a month after they struck gold.
I see.
He claims to be a miner. The only thing I've ever seen him do is hang around the town saloon, the Bonanza Bar, spending money and living like a lord.
Well, you can't knock that to me. That Carew character sounds like he's plenty smart.
I'll say he's smart. Never working, never prospecting. But he owns 6 or 7 of the richest claims over there. It's mighty funny the way certain prospectors have either vanished or have been found with their toes pointing up in the air.
Well, I thought we'd seen the last of claim jumpers. You think Carew's responsible for that bandage we just put on your shoulder?
Of course. Why, it's as plain as the nose on my face, and just about as red. It's an open and shut case.
Cherokee, you stick to your doctrine and leave the law business to me. Well, how about it, Todd? Do you think Carew tried to bushwhack you?
Carew or one of his gunslingers.
Why, I'll mow him down. I'll drill him so full of holes that when he stoops over, he'll wheeze like an accordion. I'll fill him
All
so
right, just
full
a minute, Cherokee. You may get your chance later. But not till we first try to settle this under the few processes of law that we enjoy out here. First thing I suggest doing, if Todd's able to walk, is to escort him down the street to the recorder's office and doggone well file his claim. The land office is 2 dusty blocks down Dos Rios' only street from where Cherokee keeps his livery stable. With Todd Ford's shoulder bandaged, we walked slowly past the familiar stores with the false fronts, a half-dozen saloons, which even in the early afternoon were going full blast. We just passed Ben Minton's Lucky Horseshoe Cafe when I felt Todd's arm stiffen under my hand that was holding me. His steps, which were slow to start with, suddenly folded to a halt.
Hold it, Chad. Wait a minute.
Now, if you're getting weak, son, it just happens that I brought along a bottle of my famous Cherokee rattlesnake oil.
No, it ain't that. You see that big fella just tying off that black horse?
Yeah?
He's from over my way. Name's Big Jake. Hangs out with Rocky Carew.
Yeah, from the sweat on that horse, I'd say he'd been pounding leather to get over here. To get over here in a hurry.
Well, like you say, I'm not a barrister. But if there are only 4 shells left in that 6-gun of his, he's the vulture who plugged Todd Ford.
I bet he is. I just know it.
Well, we're not getting any place standing here gawking at him. Let's walk. When Todd spotted Big Jake, we were about 100 yards away from the land office. Walking slowly gave me time to size him up as he knotted his lines around the hitch rack. Big Jake was a big man, all right. Big and with a chest on him like a hogshead. Big and as mean-looking a gent as any I'd ever seen. He spotted us coming and turned quickly and started for the land office. I let go of Todd's arm and trotted toward him, getting between him and the door before he could open it.
You, wanting something?
Yeah, I was. You mind if I look at that gun you're wearing?
I sure do.
It'll save some trouble.
I ain't got no troubles.
But I have. You see, I'm a lawyer here in Dos Rios. I was just retained by that young fellow with the bandage on his shoulder.
Oh? Well, counselor, since I'm no man to argue with a lawyer, sure. Here's my gun. See you in court, counselor. Maybe.
Like I said, Jake was a big man. And I had a lump on the top of my head the size of a mallard's egg where he'd hit me with the butt of the gun I'd been fool enough to ask to see. By the time Todd and Cherokee ran up and I came to, Mr. Carew's gun hand had had enough time to get into the land office, record his claim, and out the back door. The land office registrar was sympathetic enough for all the good it did.
Well, I believe you're right enough, Chad, but as a lawyer, you ought to know that the first fellow to get in is a fellow whose claim we got to recognize.
Of course, but like all other rules, there are exceptions to that one, too.
Exception's my eye. Where Rocky Carew is concerned, this way of getting claims is a rule.
What's that name again, young fella?
Carew, Rocky Carew.
Yeah, that ain't the name he filed in. No, it's the name of, wait a minute, let me see here. Yeah, the claim's filed in the name, Jake Hunbright.
Sure, that's his name. Big Jake Hunbright.
You'll have to excuse me batting my long eyelashes like this, but it sure seems like this polecat Carew gets out of this as free as a lark on the wing.
He might, but not if Jake sells Carew the claim later. That's legal, good and legal.
Well, if that's legal, and Cherokee's right, Carew gets out scot-free.
Carew gets out scot-free if and providing we're unable to prove that he hired Jake to dry gulch you on the way over from Big Strike and instructed him to file on the claim you'd discovered.
And that, believe me, ain't going to prove easy. No, sir, it ain't going to prove easy at all.
Yeah, you're right about that. Since we can't prove anything here in Dos Rios, I think we'd better be
Chad, I sure appreciate you wanting to help. But I reckon it's just a waste of time. I guess mine is just another claim Carew and his gang got the jump on.
No, my interest in this isn't entirely unselfish now. When Big Jake clubbed me with his gun, he didn't raise just a bump on my head. He brought out my bump of curiosity. Now, come on, we're going back over to the livery stable and pounding up dust on the trail to Big Strike. How with that bad shoulder, Todd, if we're going too fast for you, just sing out.
No, I'm all right. And the way I don't feel like singing. Out or otherwise.
My little songbird, you listen to Dr. O'Bannon. If you found one gold claim, you probably find another. Where there's one, there's got to be more.
That's not what I mean about the gold. As we were riding along, it suddenly dawned on me how Carew happened to find out about that claim.
What do you mean?
I'll give you 3 guesses. A woman.
A woman?
Yeah. And I thought she was on the square with me.
Live and learn. Live and learn, I always say.
You always say something, Cherokee. Who is she, Todd? The only reason I ask is it just might help in cleaning this up.
Her name's Althea.
Uh-huh.
Thea's what I call her, and she works over in Big Strike.
Oh.
I guess you'd call her an entertainer. It works in the Bonanza Bar, place where Carew hangs out.
When the good Lord made this world, he made 97 kinds of poison. 96 of them can absolutely be cured by my genuine Cherokee Indian rattlesnake oil. But the 97th is the one poison that no one has ever found a cure for. And that's female women.
I'll grub stake you on that one, Cherokee.
Were you in love with this Althea?
If I was, it's over. But I'll bet what poke I've got left, the only reason she played up to me at all was to tip off Carew.
Well, one of the things a lawyer is forced to handle from time to time is misunderstandings between men and women. A good lawyer tries to prevent divorce.
Suppose we just let the whole thing drop.
Fair enough. Suppose we rattle up these ponies, huh? The sun's starting to set. It's going to be dark by the time we get to Big Strike. It was dark, all right, by the time we got to Big Strike. But the lights from the Bonanza Bar slanted out over the bat-wing doors and stabbed through the gloom like smoky yellow sabers. Inside, we stood by the doors, blinking in the unaccustomed light while Todd Ford tried to pick out Carew for me. But before he was able, a small figure in a stiff spangled skirt pushed through the crowd and ran up to Todd.
Oh, Todd! Todd! Oh, Todd! Todd, I'm so glad you... Oh, what's the matter? What happened, Todd? Your shoulder's bandaged.
Don't look so surprised. Or maybe you are surprised because he missed.
Because he missed?
I'm not aiming to intrude, but Todd's had a couple of shocks today.
I'll say I have. And one I'm not forgetting either.
Oh, Todd, what's the matter? You're looking at me as if you never saw me before.
I don't know about that. But I never want to see you again. That much I'm sure of.
Missy, if you leave Todd alone right now, I think about him.
That's him. That's Carew walking this way now.
So that's Carew. Yeah, looks more like a rattlesnake on legs.
Althea, go on over to my table, and I'll buy you a... Well, what happened to you, Ford? Get mixed up in a gun scrape?
If he did, it was a little one-sided.
I beg your pardon? I don't believe we've met.
And we have now. I'm Chad Remington, lawyer from Dos Rios. I rode all the way over here just to talk to you, Mr. Carew.
I don't need a lawyer.
Well, that, my friend, is a matter of opinion. However, as far as you're concerned, in this particular action, my services have already been spoken for by Mr. Ford.
From the way he looks, he don't need a lawyer. He needs a bodyguard.
Now, you probably know more about that than I do. All I can tell you is we've got a few laws in this state to protect honest men from claim jumpers.
Remington, if I were in your boots, I'd turn them around toward the door and I'd walk out. And I wouldn't stop until I was back in Dos Rios.
By that loud-mouthed hypocritical...
Oh, Cherokee, Todd, no. In this case, I think his advice is pretty good. Come on.
Todd, please. You can't go without explaining what's happened.
Get your dirty little hands off
Oh,
of me.
no.
Okay, Chad, let's go.
Todd.
Wait a second. Back against the wall.
Chad, who flanged that shot?
Oh, lawyer'd call him a couple of death warrants. The 2 men, see him? One's in the shadows between the alley and the saloon. The other one's in that doorway across the street.
Chad, what are we going to do?
What can we do? We can try shooting it out. But my best guess is we've all got a pretty good chance of spending the rest of our lives right here in Big Strike, up on the shady side of Boot Hill.
October 10th, 1952, Frontier Town on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining Medishare right now. Medishare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medishare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And Medishare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of Frontier Town, starring Jeff Chandler, October 10th, 1952.
Well, the night wasn't cold, but with those gunmen blocking our paths, I don't mind admitting I was frozen. Frozen stiff. If we moved a scant few inches, the lights from the Bonanza bar behind us would make us perfect targets. I could almost hear Cherokee's knuckles as his fingers closed over his gun butt. Todd Ford drew his. Finally, I drew mine.
Can you move a few inches there, Chad? This hog leg of mine kicks like an overgrown Missouri mule.
The first one of us who moves gets killed.
We just can't stand here.
Now, take it easy, kid. The longer we make them wait, the more nervous they're...
What's the matter?
Someone's coming. Coming from behind us.
I told you what I'd do, Remington, if I were in your boots. But I figured maybe you needed a little lesson.
Rocky, what are you doing here?
I didn't think I'd have to tell you again. But I just came out to make sure you knew what would happen to the three of you if you thought you might want to hang around Big Strike talking about claim jumpers.
Carew, your demonstration's even more convincing than my friend here used to give selling his rattlesnake oil.
Thanks.
But on the other hand, I never bought any of Cherokee's rattlesnake oil.
That's for you to decide. All I have to do now is walk back inside the saloon. A couple of seconds later, you'll be dead. Awful dead.
Go on, then. Go on back to Thea.
Let's leave Thea out of this, Todd.
No, let's talk about her. She's pretty, well put together, and, I imagine she's got a very affectionate nature.
Why, you, Todd, keep my gun down there. Yeah.
So, you're a gentleman and a lawyer, huh? Well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Remington. Since you rode all the way over here from Dos Rios, your horses are properly beat. You're safe in Big Strike until tomorrow. But I don't expect to see you here after the sun sets.
That's a very gracious offer, Carew, and I'm accepting it.
Good. Okay, boys, let 'em through. Good night, gentlemen. Oh, and Todd, I'll be sure to tell Thea just how much you think of her.
Well, with the High Court, the criminal court, granting us a stay of execution, the three of us rode back up to Todd's diggings. It was hard and cold on the ground, but I slept like a baby. I slept until shortly after dawn. Then I heard voices. I rolled over a little on one elbow and listened.
I know. But, Todd, I didn't come here to argue. Believe me, I didn't.
I'm not arguing, Thea. I'm just telling you to clear out of here. Clear out and stay out of my life. If your gentleman friend leaves me with a life...
He's not my gentleman friend. He's nothing to me. He's just a customer down at the bar.
And a mighty good customer, I'll bet.
Oh, Todd, you can't stay here now. Carew will kill you or have you killed like he has everyone else who's gotten in his way. Let's go away. Let's go someplace else together.
I told you to get out of here before. Now, go on. You're not making a fool of me again.
Oh, Todd, please.
I'm going over and wake up Chad and Cherokee. When I get back over here, you'd better be gone.
Don't be a fool. I don't care what you think of me, but just get out of Big Strike before they kill you.
Yeah? Maybe I will get out. But not before we've found Jake Hunbright and made him talk. And we'll find him if we have to ride around this country all week.
long are we going to ride around looking for Big Jake? I'm so saddle sore now, my legs feel like I've been playing a second-hand cello.
Well, cello or not, if we ever find Jake, what we've got to say to him isn't going to make music.
Chad!
Yeah?
Just riding through them quickies. That's Jake now.
Darting into that grove of trees, he must have spotted us. Yeah, we better knock on these...
The shots came right from those aspens.
Yeah, right where Big Jake rode. Come on. Easy now. Oh boy. Yeah, Cherokee, come on. Help me turn him over.
You bet.
That's Big Jake.
I hate to correct you, Todd, but that was Big Jake. 3 of those 4 shots went plumb through him.
From the angles of the shots, they must have had him surrounded.
Just like they did us last night.
Well, Counselor, there goes your case. Higher than a kite.
Maybe.
Huh? What do you mean, maybe? With Jake dead, you'll never prove nothing. And for my part, I think I'm taking Carew's advice and moving on.
Now, wait, there's no doubt in my mind that Carew got Jake for fear that we might get to him first. But how he knew what we were up to is beyond me.
It ain't beyond me. His girlfriend wormed it out of me for him.
You'd make a pretty poor judge, Todd. You'd have everyone convicted before they ever got into court.
Well, how in tarnation would Carew have found out that we were looking
Well,
for
let's
Jake?
find that out when the time comes.
But the time comes right now for a break. Frontier Town from October 10th, 1952, right here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. First, these messages. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Frontier Town, October 10th, 1952.
Now let's find out what we can right here.
Billy Blue Blazes, you believe in ghosts or something, Chad? What are you going to find out from a dead man?
I don't know. Yet. But we may find out enough not only to get back Todd's claim, but to have Carew swinging from a gallows for murder. Being a lawyer, I don't usually play hunches, but this time my hunch was right. There in Big Jake's inside shirt pocket was a map and description of Todd's claim in handwriting, which Todd admitted was undoubtedly Carew's. He'd seen Carew's markers in a couple of faro games. It wasn't much to go on, but it was enough to send us back to the Bonanza Bar for a little further checking up.
I'd invite you all to sit down, but I know you 3 gents are leaving town in a few minutes. Soon gonna be sunset.
It soon is at that, Carew. I made a suggestion to Todd that he wants to talk to you about.
Yeah? Well, I better be quick.
It'll be quick, all right. You jumped my claim, and we know it.
The sun's setting right now. Maybe my eyes ain't so good, but 2 minutes from now, it's gonna look dark again, if you know what I mean.
Your eyes were good enough to see Big Jake's back out in that grove.
That'll be enough, Todd.
Todd, please don't be crazy. Get out while you have a chance.
I'm not telling you again. Keep out of this, Thea.
There's less than 2 minutes left now.
Now, look, let me do the talking. Whatever money Todd had, he used up prospecting for the claim that Jake Hunbright filed on.
Yeah.
So I suggest to save further trouble and to get enough money to move on, that Todd write you out a quitclaim contract giving you all rights to the claim, for which you give him $100. Here, I even drew up the papers. All you got to do, Carew, is sign your name to it.
Okay. That's a deal.
Oh, thank God.
Just sign your name here.
All right. There you are. Now I'll get you the 100.
Never mind 100 now. This paper's all we want.
What?
That signature's the same handwriting we got here on this paper we took off Big Jake's body.
Why, you blasted...
You fool, let that gun alone.
Rocky, go!
Why, that fool female, she stepped right into that shot.
Cherokee, grab him, quick. Better drop that gun, Carew, or I'll drop it after. Why, that lame fool, he just about committed suicide. Pulled the trigger just as I pushed the gun barrel up by his neck. Todd, is Thea...
I'm afraid she's...
Come on, Cherokee. Let's have a look at her while somebody goes out and finds a doctor. Well, Todd, not only have Cherokee and I got business back in Dos Rios, but I guess we're a little awkward in a lady's bedroom.
Oh, this won't be a lady's bedroom for long.
My little pigeon, I'm afraid you're going to have to explain that, even to me.
I just mean that as soon as the doctor says I'm able, this lady's bedroom's going to be out at Todd's diggings.
Well, they say that marriages are made in heaven. Yours certainly comes as close to proving it as any. Sawbones told me that if Carew's shot that Thea stopped had been a half-inch further to the left, that, well,
even my Cherokee Indian rattlesnake oil couldn't have done any good for her.
Now, don't forget, you two. Cherokee and I are expecting a piece of the wedding cake to put under our pillows.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Ah, those pleasant dreams. Wedding cake, for the good old Kentucky bourbon under my pillow.
And let this be a lesson to you, Todd. The most important thing that glitters doesn't have to be a nugget. It's usually a woman with a heart of gold.
Frontier Town, starring Tex Chandler, is a Bruce Ells production. Story and supervision by Joel Murcott. Direction by Paul Franklin. Music written and played by Ivan Ditmars. Be sure to be with us again, this time 1 week from today, for another fine action-adventure story with your favorite young Western star, Tex Chandler. Frontier Town came to you from Hollywood.
From October 10th, 1952, Frontier Town on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, and now an episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is episode number 3 of the 5-part story, The Primrose Matter. This originally broadcast October 10th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar. Hello.
Hello, what's that? I can't quite hear you.
This is Johnny Dollar. I'm phoning from a patrol phone, Forest Service, Summit Road.
Okay, you're coming through now.
Is that Lieutenant Mervyn?
Right. I should have known it was you. What are you doing up there in the mountains? Is this a manhunt or a vacation?
Relax, Lieutenant. Before you use some words, you'll have to eat.
Meeting?
Call in your APB. I found that stolen car the Nixon gang was using.
Where?
Up here in the Santa Rita Mountains, about a mile from Primrose Camp, Pop Bardell's.
Yeah, I know the place.
They ran it off a cliff and started a rock slide to bury it. One of them still in the car, dead, 2 bullet wounds. You must have hit him when they crashed your roadblock.
That makes 2 dead. Leaves Chipper Nixon and one other one still on the loose. All right, Mr. Dollar, I'll have 50 men combing that area within an hour and a half.
You will not.
I what?
There's something wrong at Bardell's place. You bring 50 state troopers in here, you may bust it wide open.
Bust what wide open?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location Santa Rita National Forest, Southern Arizona. To the Home Office, Mid-States Industrial Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Primrose Matter. Expense account continued. It took a lot of arguing to get Lieutenant Mervyn of the State Highway Police to hold his men off for 24 hours, but he finally gave in. $100,000. That was the amount of the insured payroll the Nixon gang had got away with in Kansas City, killing 2 guards in the process. Later, they shot their way through a roadblock in southern Arizona, left a state trooper and one of the gang dead in the road behind them, and then disappeared. I was certain the answer was at Primrose Camp. Evening, Mr. Bardell.
Something else you forgot?
No, I told you I'd stop on the way back down. Got a vacancy yet on one of those cabins?
They're all rented.
Oh, that's too bad. I noticed they're dark, by the way, and there are still no cars parked in front of them.
It don't signify.
Well, what do you suppose all your guests are? Lost back in the hills somewhere?
Couldn't say. Now, if you...
Maybe some of them went down to the highway for the night. I could turn the cabin back over to them if they happen to show up.
When they're rented. Makes no difference if the folks ain't here to use them.
Well, that's true, I suppose, technically, but When a traveler's badly in need of a place for the night and you've got cabins standing empty...
I told you before, it's better you go on down to the highways. Plenty of motels within a few miles of the junction.
Well, that's exactly my trouble, Mr. Bardell. I can't.
Why not?
Because it's almost dark now and I haven't got any lights.
What?
Yeah, this is a rented car. I should have tried the headlights before I took it out, but I didn't. Now when I need them, they won't work. See?
It's probably just a fuse blowed.
Oh, might be.
Let me turn the flashlight up under the dash here. It won't take but a second to tell.
That what it is?
No, fuses seem to be all right. Broken wire, maybe. Hard to say.
Oh, think you might be able to fix it?
No. It's a job for an electrician. I ain't got the equipment to trace it.
Hey, is that your station wagon there at the side of the lunchroom?
Why, yeah.
Well, look, I'd be glad to pay you if you drive me down to where I can...
No, I can't. I can't leave here.
Well, maybe your nephew could take me.
Huh?
The young fellow who was here this afternoon when I came by.
No. He's not familiar with the road.
Oh, he drove down and picked up the mail this morning, didn't he?
How'd you know?
Jake, down at the Bar and Grill, happened to mention it.
Just who are you, anyway?
Oh, I guess I did forget to introduce myself this afternoon. My name's Johnny Dollar, Mr. Bardell.
Not your name. I mean, what are you up here for?
Looking around, prospecting a little, seeing the country. Your nephew did go down for the mail, didn't he?
But that was in the daylight. Look, you said you had a sleeping bag with you. It ain't cold tonight. Why don't you
Hey, that's a good idea. I can spread it out right there on the porch in front of your souvenir shop.
No, I don't mean here. Down the road someplace.
I don't quite understand your attitude, Mr. Bardell. I've always understood you Westerners were noted for your hospitality.
Well, it's just that it makes the missus nervous to have strangers around outside.
And how am I supposed to get down the road someplace?
I don't know.
On foot, maybe, in the dark, in strange country? Oh, when I tell Jake this, he won't believe it.
No.
No, what?
No, don't say anything to Jake. He wouldn't understand.
Well, neither do I.
I can't do anything for you, Mr. Dollar. Just take my word for it now and go on before you cause more trouble. And
What trouble, Uncle? What trouble you talking about?
Well, it's not trouble exactly. The lights is out on his car. He was just wanting me to put him up for the night.
You have hard luck, don't you, mister?
It kind of looks that way.
I told him just like I did this afternoon. We ain't got no place for him. He'll have to find some way.
We can take care of him, Uncle, as long as he's that anxious to stay.
But you said...
I said what?
The cabins, they're all rented.
And it's not likely the people in number 2 will be back. He can use that one for the night.
But
you better go see if it's in shape, Uncle. Go on.
All right. I'll go look at it.
I'm, much obliged to you for changing his mind.
That's okay. We wouldn't want you to go away and tell bad stories about us, would we? Might cause trouble.
Expense account, item 7, $5. Payment in advance for one night's rent on cabin number 2, Primrose Tourist Camp. The room and the bed were far from inviting, but it didn't matter much. I didn't look for any easy night's rest under the best of circumstances. Not with the feeling of tension and danger that hung over this place, and the almost certain knowledge that 2 desperate killers were only yards away from me. Mrs. Bardell, Pop's wife, took my payment for the room and made change in the lunchroom next door to the service station.
I'll have to give you ones, Mr. Dollar. Got a $5 bill.
That's all right.
There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Want a receipt?
No, thanks. But I could sure stand something to eat.
Well, I could cook you up some ham and eggs, I guess. Some coffee, if that'll do you.
Sure, fine.
Only time I fix any regular meals, aside from short orders, when we got the cabins full.
Then they're not full now, I take it, huh?
No, not a soul. I mean, well, they're rented, of course, but the folks aren't eating here.
Oh, I see.
You want your eggs sunny side up?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Must get kind of lonesome for you up here when the season slacks off.
I got my man. And my daughter.
How old is your daughter, Mrs. Bardell?
Jenny was 20, month before last.
Oh, well, I imagine she's a big help to you.
Yes. She takes care of the souvenir shop on her own. Helps me here in the lunchroom when I get real busy.
Yeah, I noticed a close sign on the door of the shop. Is your daughter away at the present?
No, she's not feeling well today. She's in her room.
Oh, I hope it's nothing serious.
No. She'll be all right. She's got to be.
Then it is something serious.
No. I didn't mean it that way. It's nothing. Forget it.
Well, look, if there's anything I can do.
No, nothing. Forget I said anything, Mr. Dollar. You're going to want toast.
No, bread will be fine.
And there you are. Hope that's going to be enough for you.
Yeah, plenty.
Cream in your coffee?
Black, please. Yeah. This looks great. You're a good cook, Mrs. Bardell.
Ham and eggs don't prove nothing. Anybody can fix that.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
You'll be leaving in the morning, I suppose.
Well, I'd like to stay several days, but I don't know whether your husband will let me have a cabin any longer.
He can't help himself. He just can't help it.
Why not?
Well, the cabins are rented, that's all.
When I put my stuff in number 2, there was no sign of any other luggage.
They took it all out.
I was right there all the time, Mrs. Bardell.
I mean earlier. Mr. Dollar, we're in terrible danger, all of us. You too.
What kind of danger?
I can't tell you. Please, if I talk about it, I'll go all to pieces. You don't know what it's like.
I might be able to help you.
No. The only way you can help is to forget it, not ask any questions. This place is a powder keg. Don't do anything to set it off. Please, Mr. Dollar.
Item 8, $1.10, 1 order of ham and eggs. Mrs. Bardell refused to say anything more, and I didn't try to force her to. She was shaking, cold sweat on her forehead, scared half to death. I walked out onto the porch, sat down and lit a cigarette, watched the stars come out one by one, sharp and bright against the black mountain sky. The Bardells' living quarters were back at the souvenir shop, and there were no lights showing in them. If their daughter Jenny was in her room, ill, she was back there in the dark. After a while, I went to my cabin. As I fumbled around for a light switch, I suddenly realized somebody was standing in the doorway.
Reckon you're going to have to use an oil lamp tonight, Mr. Dollar. Generator's got a drive belt busted, and I ain't been able to get out to fetch one.
Oh, I don't mind, Mr. Bardell.
The lamp's there on the table. I'll light it for you now, and you can blow it out when you go to bed.
Sure. All right, fine.
You hadn't ought to pay no attention to the missus, what she said a while ago.
I didn't realize she'd said anything.
Well, she was telling me she spouted off some foolishness. Might be took wrong if a man was to pay any mind to it. If that gets to smoking, you'll have to turn it down some.
Okay. Mrs. Bardell did seem a little upset, but she didn't...
That's all it is, Mr. Dollar, just upset. You know how women get sometimes. Just forget it. It's the best thing to do. Anything you need now before I leave you?
No, nothing I can think of. Thanks anyway.
Then I reckon I'll say goodnight. You can have your breakfast in the morning any time after about 7 o'clock.
Jake Meager was telling me you have a daughter, Mr. Bardell.
That's right.
I didn't notice her around anywhere this evening. Is she...
She's in Tucson for a few days.
Oh?
Yeah, she's in there visiting friends.
Oh, I see. Well, then you're lucky to have your nephew here to help you while she's away.
Yeah. Yeah, it works out real good.
He's been here for some time, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, several weeks now.
Mm-hmm. Seems to be a lot of help to you. Really takes hold of things.
I don't know what I'd do without him. Well, I'll see you in the morning.
Mr. Bardell.
Yeah?
Jake Meager told me your nephew just came yesterday.
Jake drinks too much. He's always getting things mixed up.
And Mrs. Bardell told me a little while ago that your daughter's out back in her room, ill, not in Tucson.
Well, it's like I was saying. The missus is all upset. She just don't rightly know what she's saying.
And one more thing. I noticed the front end of my car has been jacked up and the right front wheel's been taken off.
The tire went flat. We'll fix it and put it back on in the morning. Good night, Mr. Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, a tightening noose, people held fast in the grip of fear. Then, violence. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Les Crutchfield, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
October 10th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. A reminder that my friend Ted over at RadioMemories.com has a full collection of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, at a very reasonable price. You can get shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. Contact Ted through his webpage. That's RadioMemories.com. My webpage is classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can contact me there. You can find our social media links there. You can also find a list of places where our shows can be downloaded from as podcasts. And if you'd like for us to continue adding great classic radio theater programs, we're still working to acquire collections. And if you'd like to help, you can buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio collections. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. Tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the radio dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.